evening, everybody. We are back to Big Men Academy, so we are live. College Football Conference Championships. We're back on a Wednesday. It's November 30, 2016. My name is Jeff, to come to the Big Men Academy. Here, as always, with my co-host, Ryan D'Amico. Ryan, we're back. It feels like yesterday, man. We were just starting college football. We're starting Labor Day weekend. Now it's all of a sudden Conference Championship week. We got Army-Navy next week, and then we got the bowls, man. It goes quick anymore, man.
Yeah, I mean, it always goes fast. That's the unfortunate part with football. It is the shortest season, well, as far as game-wise goes for the major sports. And, I mean, it is what it is, and you enjoy it while you can. And this is, in my opinion, last week, obviously, with Michigan, Ohio State, now you're starting to get that feel where, every game's important. You get into these important games. Like you said, bowls will be here soon. So it's an exciting time. So
yeah, plenty to do. We've had a pretty solid year on the show here. I haven't had a great year in my client plays, but you know what's good around college basketball's in here, and I've been doing well with that.
There you go.
Just got off a nice watching. I don't know if you guys watched. I know Donnie probably did. Temple St. Joe's, great game there.
Yep.
I got Michigan on right now. Purdue, Louisville, all sorts of good games.
Yeah.
Ryan, one thing real quick. Obi Anechiowa, Temple, 26 tonight. 5th game this year, 20 or more points. The kid is shooting the basketball. Temple's going to be really good, I'm telling you. I'm really looking forward to this year. Some big wins so far. But let's jump into it. Let's welcome our guest. He is from DonnieWrightsIt.com. Donnie's become a mainstay on this show. Donnie, I guess you could call me the hardest working man on Twitter, Ryan. I did a show earlier today. The people were asking about Donnie. They like Donnie. They're happy to have him back, and we're happy to have him back. Donnie, let's break it all down. How you doing tonight?
Hey, man, doing real good. It's a shame. This time of year, it's a very exciting time of year. Great games, but it also signals it's coming to an end soon. So kind of bittersweet, but, as well as you just said there, college basketball is more than enough to take you right through to April.
Yeah, also, NBA tonight. Sixers don't play due to a non-suitable court. I mean, what a pathetic excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an NBA franchise we're talking about here. Really? NBA franchise.
The thing with it is they share an arena with the Flyers, so...
Come on, dude. So do every other team.
I know, but I'm saying is you have to worry about the temperature in the building has to be properly set, and apparently from what they're saying is someone forgot to drop the temperature down to No, I mean, you laugh, and it is funny. It's comical, but that's the situation that they're in, and they don't end up playing tonight. I saw a great tweet, though. Embiid's minutes were supposed to be bumped up tonight to 28 minutes, and someone said, God wasn't ready for that, so he sent a flood to Philly. So weather
has been weird, too, so, I mean...
Yeah, it's like 70 degrees today.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, so... either way, very odd situation there. But again, you got some big five basketball to watch nonetheless. Let's jump in everything. Got a lot of games to go over. What we'll do this week, kind of a different kind of, session. Yeah, a different approach we'll have tonight. We'll break every game down. We'll our level of liking it or not, we'll break them all down. I think the only game we won't, we'll break it down a little bit, but not crazy, is that Mountain West game. We'll break that down probably at the end. But let's jump in everything here. We'll go by time, chronological order. 7 o'clock Eastern, Friday night, you got the MAC championship from Ford Field, Ryan, where the Detroit Lions play. It is a dome stadium. I'm a fan of the dome stadium turf games for the MAC. Not a lot of. It doesn't seem like there's any turf games anymore, but this is a dome, and it's going to be fun. Western Michigan 12-0, land 19 against Ohio, over under 60. Ohio, this situation is funny to me because this situation just seems like Ohio's kind of just happy to be here, and whatever happens from here on out. I know Frank Solich will try to prepare them for a MAC championship, and they're excited to be here. But you look at what's at stake for Western Michigan: the MAC championship, a perfect season, a New Year's Six bowl. Ryan, before we get into the breakdown, I think it's safe to say a lot at stake here for the Western Michigan Broncos.
Oh, of course.
It's really not something you can prepare for. And Ohio at 8-4. They were kind of just lucky enough to be in the other side of the division. I think we all agree the two best teams in this conference are Toledo and Western Michigan. Western Michigan made Toledo look like Kent State last week. So you look at Western, I mean, just so good against the spread. 9-3 to the number, 27-11 the last 3 years. And Ryan, I mentioned the turf aspect. Western loves playing on turf. Last 3 years, 24-9 on turf against the spread. 45 points a game for Western Michigan. And Sean Harnish, a good point. Yes, I know Ohio has the 5th best rushing defense in the country. However, you look at what Zach Terrell's done this year. I mean, you look he probably will have a big day here. Ohio, 97th in the country against the pass. That's not very good. You would expect Corey Davis, 50 career touchdowns at Western Michigan. He's going to play at the next level, Ryan. You will mark my words, on November 30, 2016, you will see similar Antonio Brown type receiver in the NFL. I think Corey Davis has destiny written all over him. I really believe that. And he's had a great career. One thing about Ohio, I can't get involved with a quarterback that's Ohio's Quentin Maxwell. 55.9% completion percentage. He's thrown in 8 games this year. He's failed to in 6 of 8. He's failed to go over 200 yards. I'm not in love with him. I'm not in love with their run game. And you also had the fact that Western Michigan plus 18 turnover margin. They've gained 23 turnovers and turned the ball over as a team 5 times. Just a really impressive team and well coached. A lot at stake here. I can't get in front of Western Michigan. I'm going to lay the points here with them. I think they win this one, 48-20, something like that. I think we're good to go here. Pretty good number as well, under 3 touchdowns. Donnie, right side, this is your conference. What do you think?
Here's what I'm looking at in this game, which is going to come down to, again, with Frank Solich and his, circle the wagons. We're not going to tell you anything. Our bus might have crashed and everybody might have died, but we're all probable. That type of scenario is Wyndham is now supposedly going to play in this game. And the reason why it doesn't sound like that much, you look at his stats, 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Maxwell, the starting quarterback for Ohio, is the most athletic quarterback you're ever going to see. He struggles passing down the field. He struggles intermediate. He struggles throwing to the flat. He struggles running the football. And with Ohio, they don't have any explosive players. Sebastian Smith is going to play in the NFL, the wide receiver from Ohio, 840 yards on the year. He's a pretty good player. Pappy White, game-changing type player, but their 3 running backs look like they're running quicksand. This game is going to just depend on how bad does Ohio want to hang around in this football game, or does Ohio think they can actually compete? Because if Ohio thinks they can compete in this football game, Western Michigan is going to boat race them straight up. The one thing you want to look, yes, Ohio's defense is good, but it's a product of the offensive game plan that they play. If you look at the teams that they play, obviously over the back end of it, I know they did beat a Toledo football team, caught them off guard, but the defense is 58th of the nation in stopping and third down conversions. Passing efficiency is 87th. If you flip that over to Western Michigan, they average 44.8 points a game. On the road, it's actually 39.1, but they're number 2 in the country in third down conversions and 4th in the country in passing efficiency. The one key thing that you haven't seen most of the year with Western Michigan, Jeff and Ryan, is Jamari Bogan is now completely healthy to go with Franklin. It doesn't matter how strong your front 7 is. They're going to wear you down, and they're going to force Ohio to get behind the chains, and that's going to be 7-0, 14-0 Western Michigan. Ohio can't score. If you're looking at this ball game, I would be on Western Michigan just because I think they're the better team. But the one thing I would look for, if Maxwell plays in this game, team total under on Ohio, they're not going to be able to score.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, Ryan, with this Ohio team, Darius Vick, Greg Wyndham, Quentin Maxwell, last 3 years, a couple years with quarterback, none seem to be able to throw the football. I mean, they have a little bit of mobility, but Sean is talking about Maxwell's turned 5 touchdowns over the last 3 games or 4 games. You look at the opponents in those games. Akron didn't throw a touchdown. Central Michigan can't stop the pass. Buffalo's the worst team in the country, and Toledo, their pass defense is skeptical as well. I'm just not in love with Quentin Maxwell. 56% doesn't do it for me, Ryan. Are you going to go with Western here?
Yeah, I mean, if Wyndham was in the game, it'd kind of be a different story, and
Really?
maybe the line would be a little different as well with a freshman quarterback in there, in this game of this magnitude against a Western Michigan club that's just rolling right now. Look, I said on the show last week that I like them against Toledo, and they come out and they put up 55 points on them, win by 20. So, in my opinion, you'd be kind of, I don't want to call people stupid, but it would be kind of interesting to go against them right now. They're just kind of a freight train and just really clicking on all cylinders. You talked about Corey Davis. Yes, he's going to be a first-round pick. He just set the FBS receiving record last week. I don't want to sit there, bet on Ohio, and be sitting on eggshells because, look, they're not going to win the game. That's not happening. No shot. So you're asking yourself, okay, I'm betting on Ohio here. How much are they going to lose by? So I don't want to be in that predicament where I am just kind of sitting on eggshells waiting for this offense of Western Michigan with Zach Terrell and Corey Davis and that whole group to, they did just put up 55 points on Toledo, who was the second best defense in this conference behind Western Michigan. And I made mention that Western Michigan's defense is vastly improved this year, and that's the reason why I was really high on this team this year, was because of the improvement on the defense. And I think that obviously would transition to the game tomorrow night. So, yeah, Western Michigan for me, guys, absolutely.
You look at Western this year. They beat Northwestern in Northwestern, which is a great win. You beat Illinois, which that's a Big Ten win. But then you look at the rest of the schedule. At what point were they tested this year? Really? They 55, 35, 38. They won every game by 15 or more. I just don't know how you can get in front of this team. Really. Not one of their games, except against a Big Ten, a formidable Big Ten opponent. Again, other than that, they have blown out every team they played. No game has been close.
They're the best team in this conference, and it's not even it's not close.
Find me a game.
They showed that last week.
Other than Northwestern, they have not had a game where it was under a 15-point margin.
Yep.
They just roll teams. If you want to get on Ohio, go ahead. You want to be the guy that says you called it? Go ahead.
Yep.
Ohio's in a bowl. They're not going to win this game. What's the real? They're here. They're just happy to be here. Sorry. It's like a 16 against a 1, if you ask me. That's what this is like. There's zero chance. This would be the biggest upset in the last 5 years if Ohio can win.
The one also thing that's key ingredient in this one is the amount of money that the MAC can
right.
get. I always like to bring it back. Western Michigan needs to win. They need to win big to get that Bowl 6 or New Year's Day Bowl 6. So if it's at the end of the game, it's a 14-point spread. Western Michigan's on their 30. Western Michigan running the clock out with Bogan and Franklin. That's not really running the clock out. That's like 8 yards a clip. I don't care if Ohio, that front seven is really tough. They haven't seen anything like this coming out.
Yeah, pretty clear. Western Michigan here in this one.
Yep.
Let's move on. The other Friday game, you got the Washington Huskies and the Colorado Buffaloes. This game is 9 o'clock on Friday at the Levi's Stadium in good old San Francisco.
Santa Clara, yeah.
Whatever. San Francisco. But yeah, I guess technically it's Santa Clara. Colorado not getting a ton of respect here. Washington laying 7.5. I see, Ryan, you wrote that. Not getting a ton of respect with this number, says Ryan. He did the notes for this game. Great job, Ryan.
Thank you.
Colorado, 10-2 against the spread. They're not the best in the country, but they are second in the country. Right behind the Temple Owls. How about that? Temple Colorado 10-2 against the spread. They've covered every game on the road this year, 6-0. They're 7-2 in conference. Really good stuff. I know they score 35 points a game, which I was surprised to find. I've watched this team before. Again, I know against Washington State they kind of did what they wanted, but I felt throughout the year they were kind of vanilla on offense, to be honest. Sifo Lufau, not really a guy that's going to blow you away through the air. He's pretty slow. It blows my mind that Sifo Lufau continues to win games. I just don't know how.
Because he's efficient, that's why.
Yeah, he's tough, too.
He's efficient, that's why.
He kind of reminds you a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger. He's
kind of big. He's not going to hurt you, that's
oafy, but yeah, you're right. He's just he's effective. He gets the job done, and you kind of wonder and marvel how he does it. He reminds you of that kid from Utah, Travis Wilson. You remember him?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, he's just he didn't look like a quarterback, but he was efficient.
He beats you, and you get pissed because it's like, this guy should not be beating me. I think he's a little more talented than Travis Wilson, but that's definitely a good comparison.
You know who made that point? Dan Lebatard made that point about him, how he just kind of gets under your skin. Like he does everything. There was a play earlier this year, Donnie. I think you were watching it and you saw it against UCLA. Someone grabbed his face mask. Yep. He managed on the kind of falling back to alert the referee and still make the play. He's really unbelievable with the ball. It's unbelievable. But Colorado, I definitely want to lean on Philip Lindsay, their running back. That's kind of their MO. But we know Washington very good defensively, particularly actually through the pass and through the air, or through the run as well. Only allowing 18 points a game. I think they have the best secondary in the country. I think Budda Baker, Sidney Jones, and Kevin King are really shut down. Washington's covered 6 of 7 against Colorado. And they're 23rd against the run. They really shut the run down. And I agree with Trey, actually. Good point. I think I think Washington wins by double digits. I'm not a big fan of Colorado. Again, I know they've played well this year, but to me, I think they're just a little too vanilla. I think Washington, with the exception of USC, which, look, we all know USC is probably, they could be the most talented team in this conference. Jake Browning's been great. Myles Gaskin, John Ross, they're just, I think they have too many weapons, to be honest. I like Washington big in this game. Ryan, you kind of like Colorado. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I do kind of like Colorado. They've been a fantastic story in college football this year. I mean, kind of where they, started, where they were last year and coming into this year, and, being in a position to where they're 8th in the country, playing for a conference championship, and if things can kind of fall their way, I don't know how, but that probably wouldn't happen. But at least the option or the chance is there for them to, maybe even get into the playoffs. So that's even just remarkable in itself here. I think I would agree. I think they're kind of in over their head here for sure. Washington, obviously, you have to think how focused they're going to be after seeing, we control our own destiny. We are 4th in the college football playoff right now. If we win, and if we win relatively easily, we're in. I mean, case closed, we are in. So you have that motivation. I mean, if Washington comes out flat on Friday, that would be one of the more pathetic things I've ever seen. I mean, with your entire season on the line. Mm-hmm. Because I truly I think there's a possibility if they win by 2 or 3 that they could possibly get left out. I know it's hard to believe, but I think they need to make a statement in this game and cover this number and win by double digits. And I think they'll do that. I think just a combination of talent on offense is going to be, because I look at these two teams, both good on defense, because Colorado has been really good on defense all year, but I think you give them the upper hand offensively. Colorado has some playmakers, don't get me wrong. They do have some playmakers. The 5-point win against Utah is a little deceiving. Dropped a number of touchdown catches in that game. But for me, I'm going to side with Washington. Obviously, I hope it's not the case. I hope Washington just loses this game outright. But I can't see it happening. I really can't. I think this weekend is actually, in the bigger games, is going to be pretty chalky. But I'll go Washington for the sake of the show.
Not a particularly great number if you like Washington. Obviously, you'd like to get 6.5 or 7. But look, I think it's a double-digit victory. I think we all agree. Ryan, I know you're going to be rooting for Washington or for Colorado here. I feel like someone will lose, but
they really have to They really have to make this game. They have to dictate the game. If they're going to get into a game where it's going to be played in Washington's hands, where it's kind of go, let's get this game into the 40s, they have no shot. You're right. They will get blown out. This game has to be low scoring game. Kind of Colorado wait for Washington to make a mistake and capitalize on it.
Unfortunately, Chris Peterson, really good coach. Look, if you had I don't know, I can't really pick someone out of a hat like who I wouldn't want in this situation as a coach, but I think he'll be ready here. Donnie, your thoughts?
I think it's more of a pedigree game. I mean, if you look at Colorado, I've been on them quite a few times this year. They seem to have value each week, just as that unknown Pac-12 team. Nobody really gets to take a look at them, but they've won decidedly over the past couple weeks, and certainly, obviously, with a 10-2 record. I don't think in the beginning of the season anybody really expected them to challenge or even get to the Pac-12 title game. But I look at this game as Washington has much, much more to gain in this game than obviously Colorado. I think Colorado is happy to be there. Washington knows they have to win to get into the Final Four. And again, just getting back to the pedigree theory, if you go over, Browning, Gaskin, Ross, and Pettis, they're just better than what Colorado can bring to the table. Colorado has a very good defense, but that pedigree in the back for Washington, I believe, is going to be the difference in this game. And looking at Washington, we know they have a tough home field advantage when they play at home. It's going to play in a little bit more of a sterile environment, but their offense travels 49.4 points per game on the road for Washington, where they're only giving up 23.4 points on the road. I just think overall they're the better team and can make more plays. If you watch Lufau play, big kid, athletic, runs like a fullback, but he misses shots downfield he shouldn't. Jake Browning doesn't miss those shots. I think that's going to be the difference. And looking at that line itself at 7.5, I think it wants you to take Colorado in that one. But again, Jeff, I agree with you. I think it's a double-digit win for Washington. Way too much on the line for them to let this one slip away.
Agreed. I love that breakdown. I think we kind of maybe might want to take Colorado. It might look good, but
I tried. The one other thing that's kind of an interesting dichotomy in this one, Jeff, is home field advantage. Colorado obviously plays on grass most of the year, being that's what they play on in Colorado. Washington has not played on grass yet this year. I don't know how much that'll factor in, but just an interesting caveat there.
Yeah,
that is a pretty interesting point, Donnie. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I always love the turf grass scenarios, Ryan. Washington,
all their players, built on cuts and speed and
exactly.
running.
Yep.
Maybe it's a little bit slick out there, and they're not used to it. Where Colorado, might be able to dig in. It might just be an angle that might get a little bit of play, but I'm trying not to feed into that too much.
Colorado's probably my dog of the week. Well, good luck with that.
If that number was under a touchdown, I could get on board with that. Like if this was,
he's going to take the money.
If this number, I hear you, but I'm just talking just as a betting, just straight up bet line betting in this game. If this game was like 5-6, sure, absolutely. But
yeah, Sean,
over a touchdown, I get that feeling like Donnie said that it's just they are baiting you to take it, and Washington just comes out and steamrolls.
Yeah, Sean, I think this is a really tough spot for Colorado. I think. I think this game's similar to the Stanford game. I think Washington takes it to Colorado. I think Lufau will. I don't know if he's seen a defense like this. Has he really? Maybe Michigan.
Even look at the Pac-12
and he got knocked.
Again, getting back the money again. How much do they stand to lose if Washington loses this football game and doesn't get into the Final Four? Right. Everything sides with Washington here. Whereas, if you want to be a contrarian and take Colorado, I see it. They're they're 10-2. That's a good football team, and it's a neutral field. But I just think the weight of it, too much, is going to be put into Washington on this one. I just can't see them losing this one.
Sean's comparing Vanderbilt to Colorado. Vanderbilt was playing a team in Tennessee that had checked out. Really? You're comparing the Pac-12 championship to NC State against whoever the hell they played. Come on, dude. Really? Maybe they'll cover, but money line? Look, I'll root for you, man, for sure. But you got to think about the scenario here. I think Colorado.
I'd be really surprised if Colorado won.
And look at Lufau against Michigan. He got knocked out of the game.
Was playing well before he got knocked out, though.
Yeah, he got knocked out, and they got fucking ran on.
Well, sure.
So I think Washington rolls here. We'll see what happens, though. Good luck either way, wherever you go. Let's move on to the next one here. SEC Championship. Let's get this one out of the way, because I got a feeling this one will be pretty quick. 4 o'clock Eastern in the Georgia Dome, Atlanta, Ryan. Great peach state of Georgia. You got Atlanta. Florida at Bama. Bama laying 24 over under 40.5 or 41. Quite the number here, 24. Wow. Last year it was decided by 14 points. So, look, is Alabama 10 points better? I would probably say they are. If we've seen the way Alabama's just steamrolled teams this year, 39 points a game, allowing just 11. They have the best run defense in America, and they've covered 9 of 14 against the Gators. You look at Florida, some of their injury concerns on defense. My God, who's going to play on defense for Florida this week? Brian Cox Jr., doubtful. Jordan Sherritt, the defensive end, doubtful. Duke Dawson, the starting defensive back, doubtful. Nick Washington out, a safety. They better hope that, what's the kid's name? Jalen Tabor. They better hope he plays his ass off, because this is a tall order, especially. Austin Appleby, 60% completion percentage, not exactly firing on all cylinders here. Florida, 15 points a game they're relying on defense, but they're only scoring 24. I was surprised to see that. 24 points a game seems even high. Can their defense keep them in it? I think it's fully healthy. I would definitely take 24. If they were fully healthy on defense, I'm taking the 24 points. But without it, I just can't do it. I have a hard time thinking that Florida will score in this game. It might, team total under might be good play, but I think this one's like a 34, 38-10, something like that. It's a lot of points, but Alabama showed week in, week out that they just, it really doesn't matter who they're playing. Plus, it's the SEC Championship. I think Saban wants to make another statement here, and I think he will. I like Bama laying the 24. Like I said, if we were getting a fully healthy Florida team, I might look to them here, but at this number and at this team, I'm not interested. Donnie, right side, thoughts on this SEC Championship?
I got it pegged somewhere around that 37-7. I would take Alabama and the over. I can't see Alabama not scoring into the 30s, and I think, something's got to happen where Florida has enough athletes to put at least one touchdown on the board. Just looking at the games coming into this one, I know Alabama's off the Iron Bowl game. It was a really easy victory, 30-12. Before that, they played UT Chattanooga. The only angle I like in this one as well with Florida, Florida played at LSU, which is a huge physical game. They did win that one. Played their, blood and guts state rival, Florida State, got rolled. Now you're going to tell them to go up to Atlanta and go play Alabama. Attrition is going to be really involved in this one. I think Alabama just knocks them back, rolls them up. I think the game ends up in the 40s, but again, I can really see 37-7 being an easy final in this one because I don't think Florida has enough weapons, and I think Alabama's going to get them down 7-0, 14-0 in the first half. And what's Florida going to do? Just start chucking it all over the place, and bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think team total under might be a pretty good play, judging on where you can get it. I got a feeling you're going to see it at like 9, probably.
That's what I was going to say. What would the team total be if it's 41 as a total? In Alabama's team total's got to be, at least 28?
You could see 7.5, maybe. Over might be the best play. I mean, I think you're right, Donnie.
Alabama's getting in the high 30s. They're going to get in the high 30s.
Yeah, and I would hope Florida could score 6 or 7, right? But I feel like that's a mountain to climb. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I like the over actually too. That's kind of the way I'm leaning on this game. As far as a side, my gut kind of wants to take Florida, but then my head's like, nah, don't do it. So I'll side with Alabama. I'll tell you, if you think this is a rematch of last year, you'd have to obviously Alabama's defense is better this year. I believe they only gave up 7 or 8 points last year to Florida because on defense, I'm saying, because 7 of which I believe came on a punt return, I think, in that game. So obviously those are X factors you have to kind of take into consideration. But yeah, I can't. We talked about it on one of our previous shows on Florida being able to score, and I really just do not see it happening. I mean, they rank 13th out of 14 teams in the SEC in offense. They're gonna be with the backup quarterback today on Saturday with Appleby. He's going to be in there. Del Rio, he's banged up. Obviously, they've kind of both had their fair share of starts this year, though. So, but yeah,
he went to Purdue.
I'm just not.
Sure, remember that.
I can't back Florida. Look, defensively, kind of like you said, if healthy, sure, they would definitely be consider that. But the way they're banged up, possibly with 7 starters out, and the way Alabama's kind of been playing all year, that's kind of outside Alabama. But I'm telling you, I really like that over. I really like the over.
Alabama team total at 28, from what I see here. Where are you getting those numbers? Team totals aren't usually out this early, are they?
They might be with conference championship though.
If it's 28, I like the team total over for Alabama at 28, especially with all the injuries. But we'll see. I think we can all probably agree over's probably the best play here. Maybe a 34-10 type of game or something like that. So we'll see. But I'm not going to be betting this game. Probably won't even watch it. I hate the SEC. We've talked about that before. Next one, ACC title. This game is at Camping World Stadium in Orlando. You got Clemson laying 10 to Virginia Tech, over-unders 58. Another situation where a team just has so much to play for versus a team that really is just happy to be here. I think we all agreed at the beginning of the season the winner of the Coastal Division wouldn't have much of a shot either way. And obviously, there's no different situation here. Which D will get the big stop? Obviously, Clemson has had issues at times defensively this year, which has been surprising. Pittsburgh really did whatever they wanted. But Pittsburgh offensively has really done whatever they wanted to anyone. So, either way. And they're going to have to face Gerard Evans. Gerard Evans has been pretty good. He's kind of flown under the radar. 5 interceptions here this year. Pretty impressive from the kid. Justin Fuente really is building something. You still have Bud Foster there, a good defensive coach. But, look, watch out for Virginia Tech in the coming years. They're going to be a pretty good football team, I think. I think they get back to prominence like they did years ago with Michael Vick. Deshaun Watson, 3,500-plus passing yards, 38 total touchdowns. But the glaring number, 14 interceptions. Clemson has his issues turning the football over. They've been careless at times. You saw it in certain games. It really affected outcomes. And we've seen the close calls, the Troys and the Louisvilles. We've seen the close calls this year with them. Clemson has covered 4 in a row, though, in neutral fields. They're just a better team on all sides when it really comes down to it. More playmakers, a better defense. Virginia Tech's had a solid season, but their season's pretty much set. I can't see them winning this game, and I think Clemson will just do enough. I do get the feeling this game's like 34-24 for some reason. Why do I get the feeling this is going to be a push? I don't know. Pretty good number, I think, if you ask me. This is a tough one to crack because I could see a situation where Tech could hang around and, it's a 38-20, 20-31 type of game. I don't know. I'll take a shot with Clemson, but this is not going to be a game that I'm looking to bet. Ryan, your thoughts here?
Yeah, kind of took the words out of my mouth. Not a game that I'm interested in betting at all. Just simply for the fact of Clemson. I mean, say what you want about Clemson. They're the third-ranked team in the country. They're 11-1. They have good wins over Florida State and Louisville. But, I mean, talk about a team that's just very Jekyll and Hyde this year.
Remember we talked about that, Ryan?
About what?
The other day when we were talking about the Final Four. What have they done to be in the Final Four? Right?
Yeah, look, I mean, they're just – this is a team that if NC State could make a chip shot field goal, they'd have 2 losses right now, but they don't. So credit them for being in the position that they're in. But, I mean, you lose at home to Pittsburgh. Like I said, they almost lost at home to NC State. The Troy close encounter. But then they can come back and kind of blow the doors off of South Carolina or Boston College. Or, it seems that when they play teams with a pulse, they're close games. When they play teams that they really should just have entirely too much talent. Then they blow the doors off. Tech's a talented team. I've watched them a handful this year. Obviously, they're a team that the country gets a chance to watch year in and year out because of they play so many times on Thursday throughout the course of the year. But the talent that Clemson has, I think Virginia Tech's not getting a lot of love in this situation. I actually like Tech in this spot. I do. I'm going to take them with the points here. I think
you guys are falling in love with dogs too much.
No, I haven't taken a dog yet.
Well,
this will be my first dog. But Clemson is just too Jekyll and Hyde for me. I mean, you look at the talent because I think Virginia Tech will be able to score with Clemson, with Isaiah Ford and Cam Phillips, Bucky Hodges. He's going to be a relatively high draft pick.
Maybe over.
I think over's definitely a solid look as well.
It's only 58. I mean, 38. 38-27.
Jerron Evans has really shown me something this year. In the games that I've played, he's shown me something. He's a great dual threat quarterback in the fact that he knows when to run. He doesn't just rely on his legs. He knows the opportune times to run. So I'm gonna side with Tech in this game. I am. Just Clemson, I'm telling you, Clemson just doesn't do anything for me. They just don't. And it seems like I said, when they play teams with a pulse, they're usually close.
Yeah, I'd like to point out again, I don't have a strong side on this game. I think the number's perfect. I think it's really kind of, it doesn't really offer you a lot of value on what to take here. I could see a scenario where you're right, Ryan. I just think Clemson puts it all together and kind of gives you a complete game maybe, but this is going to be close. I feel like this is 38-27. I really do. Donnie, what are your thoughts here? You going to break
this game? By far, probably the least favorable matchup that I like to cap and to get involved with because I think Clemson's going to win the football game. And Clemson knows that they just need to win this game. There's not really too much pressure on them saying, we really need to, get out there and put on a show. If Clemson wins by 1 point, they know they're going to be in the championship title game. I would lean towards more on the over just because you have that nice element, nice wide receivers, with Ford. Hodges is a very, very capable tight end. And if you look, obviously, over on the side, the usual suspects with Watson and Gallman for Clemson. If you look at this game overall, the talent on the field, if you say, Virginia Tech over the past built on defense, not so much this year. Shot it out with Pittsburgh, just like everybody else has done. Notre Dame, 65 total points. Boat race, Virginia, 52-10. Same thing looking on the opposite side with Clemson. Neither one of these teams actually in their, rivalry game were tested. 56-7 and 52-10. I just look a lot of weapons on both sides of the field. I think they can run it up and make the game exciting. Again, Jeff, I'm leaning with you. The 10 seems about right there. I don't really have a feel because I can see West Virginia. I mean, they're well coached. They're a good football team. They have a lot of talent. They can stick around. Again, this isn't being played at Death Valley. It's going to be a neutral site. More Clemson fans probably, yes, will be there. But On the outside of it, I would stay away from the side itself. I just would lean towards the total in this one.
Yeah, I kind of am liking that as we talk about it a little bit more and more. Clemson, I mean, they have been really average on defense this year. And Vodtech, I think, they're a team that can definitely score. The problem I have with Vodtech, last thing I want to say is, what Vodtech team are you going to see? And let's be honest, Ryan, at what point has Virginia Tech this year looked really that good? I mean, they lose to Tennessee pretty bad.
In that pouring rain,
yeah, they beat.
They
beat North Carolina, which I think if that's clear conditions, that's a totally different game.
Sure.
They got crushed by Syracuse. I mean,
and
they lost to Georgia Tech.
They have some bad losses.
I mean,
sure.
Where's a good win there? I mean,
really late at Notre Dame.
Yeah, who'd you beat? Duke? No, I mean, what have they really done this year? I mean, honestly, there's no Ohio State victory on that schedule. I mean, there isn't.
No.
And I just don't really think Vodtech's that good. I think they're lucky to be here. I think Pittsburgh's a better team than they are, and I think I think if UNC and them got another crack at Virginia Tech, I think they'd beat them. So that's kind of my speed on Clemson, but I can see where you guys are going. Tough game nonetheless. Either way, maybe you want to avoid it. Let's go to the two games that I'm most interested in. And, Donnie, I think you can agree. I think we're going to have some good conversation on these two games. First one, 12 o'clock Eastern. You got the Conference USA, Ryan, title game. This is one of those conferences where this is why I love mid-majors, because they don't play at a neutral site, Ryan. Whoever has the better season gets to host it.
Yep.
And that was one knock last week on Louisiana Tech. They talked the talk but didn't walk the walk against the Southern Miss Eagles. Nick Mullins ends up playing. They get the job done, and La Tech's got to go on the road now to Western to play this game. So, but you look at the line. Donnie, you and I talked about it. I reviewed this game with Peter Loshak and Mike Brenner on SBR Forum. We were wondering, this line is very odd. I mean, very odd. West Kentucky laying 10. Over-under is 82. Now, these teams played back in October. I remember perfectly. I'd watched the game. I had the over in the game. 55-52, Ron. You remember that one? They just pogo-sticked up the field. Now the line's 10. And it's perplexing to me, first of all, because Sharps have bet La Tech all year. I mean, they were mired in just covering. They have one bad game last week, and now they're 10-point underdogs in a conference championship game. What does Sharps know that we don't? I mean, you look at Louisiana Tech, covered 8 of 12 this year. They've covered 9 of 11 as an underdog. Both these teams, 500-plus yards. They're both top 10 passing offenses. And I think if you ask me who the better quarterback was, I'd probably say Ryan Higgins. 5 touchdowns this year against West Kentucky, threw for over 450 yards in that game. Neither team passes or runs the ball at all. This is pass. Overs continue to get bet up. Ryan, if I asked you who led the country in yardage per play, it'd be Louisiana Tech, 7.68 yards per play. I have a hard time thinking that Skip Holtz, this guy plays at a last whistle. I've seen him on bad beats a couple times. Remember, bad beats, Ryan? Skip Holtz has been involved several times due to the fact that he just does not quit until the number's at 0. You may be a goat and you into taking La Tech here, but I think they're good enough to hang around here. I think if you're going to take a dog this week, this is probably the one I would do it with. I think La Tech's very live in this game, plus 305, plus 310. Western's good, but defensively they have issues, and they'll be magnified in this one. I like La Tech plus the 10. Donnie writes out. I'll start with you. You have a pretty good read on this conference. We've always
There's 3 teams in this conference that you want to take a look at on offense, and then what I mean by offense is they just get up and down the field. Doesn't matter who they're playing. It's Middle Tennessee State, it's Western Kentucky, and it's Louisiana Tech. If you take out all the games, each one of these teams boat race everybody. I mean, just simplest form. Louisiana Tech 63-35 UTSA, 45-24 North Texas, 61-16 Rice. Flip it over to any games you want to look at. Western Kentucky 60-6 over Marshall, 49-21 over FIU, 59-24 over a really good Old Dominion team. But it boils down to the simplest terms in this conference. Western Kentucky, Louisiana Tech, final score 55-52. Take it with Louisiana Tech and Middle Tennessee State, 38-34. Flip it over to Western Kentucky. Again, Louisiana Tech, 55-52. Flip it over to Middle Tennessee State, 44-43. Last ball wins this game. Give me the 10 all day.
Yeah, I have a hard time justifying taking a 10-point favorite in this
I'm not
spot.
exactly. We talked earlier, Jeff. I'm not even going to read into this line.
No.
It looks like it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go -10. I don't care about that. If they're down 17 points with 3 minutes to go, Louisiana Tech is scoring a touchdown, no question about it.
I have a hard time reading into the line as it is. There's really nothing to read into. I think if you take West Kentucky, you really don't know anything about gambling, personally. There's no reason to take them here. None. What's the reasoning, Ryan? What do you like?
Yeah, I really don't have much on this game, to be honest with you. Just two high-powered offenses, obviously going to just kind of duke it out and go back and forth. And both teams very similar to each other, obviously. Two up-tempo, kind of, like Donnie was saying, air it out. And Western Kentucky, at home has been better defensively. And if you remember the beginning of the year, they held their own against Alabama, only losing 38-10, which I think, a lot of people would say is pretty acceptable for their standards. But, just because, and I think you made a good point, Jeff, about just because last week La Tech kind of falls off the horse a little bit, I don't think is, the time to just kind of, jump off the ship that's, been. I mean, they've been cash cows recently, and overs have come through. We talked about that recently on the show. So yeah, I would side with La Tech. This isn't my cup of tea per se, but I'll side with them. Getting 10 points. I mean, for a team that can score on anyone, sure. Give me the 10 and give me La Tech.
Trey wants to bet, Ryan, on this one. Of course, he thinks West Kentucky's the good play here. Trey, I feel like you're taking a page out of Scott Weaver's book. Remember that time, Ryan, when he would disagree on everything we would say? Remember that? Like a couple years ago, he would disagree on everything. Trey's taking a page out of his book. But there we go, Ryan. $250. We're gonna make a wager here. We're gonna do 10.5. That's the line on 5 dimes currently.
Okay.
I got Western, or he's got Western minus 10.5.
Yep.
I have La Tech plus 10.5.
Okay.
That's an overjuiced line, though, that 10.5, by the way.
Well, 5 dimes supposedly it's 10.5 right now. So
No, it is, but I think that that line they're showing, there's one of their -130s. I'll check.
okay, well, yeah, Trey. Listen, it's even money. I'm not juicing anything here. Jeff, lately you've been throwing darts in college football. Trey, lately, how many units are you down this year, bro? Let's not talk shit on each other, okay? Until you're up 30 or 40 units, then you can talk down to me. But when you're down as well, don't throw
10.5
jabs.
is plus 100 in that on 5 dimes.
10.5 plus 100. Well, we'll just do even money. I'll give him 250 if he wins. He'll give me 250 if I win. Mano y mano. How about that, Ryan?
There you go.
Mano y mano. I never understood that. Mano in Spanish means hand.
Yeah, hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Okay, got it. Head to head, wouldn't it be, though? Wouldn't it be cabeza and cabeza?
I don't really think about it. I just say it.
I don't know.
I don't really say that much.
It's like, what does T in T-shirt stand for?
What is what?
T. The T, what does that stand for in T-shirt?
Oh, in T-shirt.
Yeah. What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't think.
You ever wonder?
I don't think about that shit.
Is it because the T-shirt looks like a T? If
Probably.
You look at it? I don't
Like
know.
another one. Why, when you sneeze, are your eyes closed? Like, why can't you sneeze with your eyes open?
I don't know.
Won't they blow out of your head?
I don't know. It's just things I think about.
That's what I was always told as a kid.
Okay, so we all agree. La Tech plus the 10. We'll do 10.5 because that's the line currently.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's a gun reference from old Western days. I love Westerns. I've never heard that, but
It's a gun reference.
I'll have to look into that. So we go La Tech here. Trey, you're on with that one. It is all in the live show here, so we can go back and break that down if we have to. So I know you're not going to patch me or anything, but just so we know. So 250. Let's move on. Next one. AAC Championship. I don't know what game I'm going to watch, Ryan. Is it going to be this one, or is it going to be the AAC Championship?
I will not be watching the AAC Championship.
Really?
I'll tell you that. I would much rather watch La Tech and Western.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Navy laying 3.
Oh no. Okay.
You mean the ACC?
Yeah.
Okay. No, the AAC.
AAC.
Yes.
Okay.
You got Temple and Navy. Navy laying 3, over under 62.5. This game is at home for Navy. They're in Annapolis. Donnie, 16 in a row, my friend, for Navy at home. Longest active home winning streak in the country, Ryan. How about that?
Yeah, impressive.
Is there any bigger fan of the Navy out there than Jeff Nadeau? I don't think there is, Ryan. I love Navy. I really do.
You do.
It's my squad. Temple, though, 11-1 on the year against the spread. That is the best.
That's
in the
remarkable.
country. Navy, been good, though, against spread as well, 7-3. They have covered 12 of 17 against conference opponents. And you look at what this team has done over the last 3 games, Ryan. 61 points a game. They've scored in the last 2 games, 75 and 66. Over the last month, they have punted the ball 4 times. In 38 drives, they've scored 33 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and took a knee 4 times. That's efficient, Ryan. Will Worth has been fantastic. Who would have thought? The backup coming in. Tego Smith goes down. Will Worth comes in. I mean, Will Worth has looked like a Heisman candidate. Hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been
he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he has.
Navy seems to be getting stronger to me when other teams are getting weaker. I just see them getting better and better every week. I think the one thing for Temple to stay in this football game, they have to have long drives. 34 minutes a game they've had possession time. That's 4th in the country. If they can keep Navy off the field, clearly Navy's not going to score. If they can do what they did right against South Florida, remember that Friday night game? Controlled the clock, ran the football, were effective running the football. I could see Temple winning this game, but it's going to be tough. I mean, if Ventrell Bryant, he may be out of this game. P.J. Walker's been hobbled a little bit. Jahad Thomas has been in and out this year. It's hard for me to go against Team Navy right now that is just clicking on all cylinders. It's hard for me to go against the team right now in Navy that has been so money over the years. It's hard for me to go in front of a team in Navy who doesn't lose at home. And it's hard for me to go against Ken Niumatalolo. I think Niumatalolo is a hell of a coach.
Speaking of him, Niumatalolo, getting from what I'm hearing, getting consideration for the Oregon job. So he's a name.
It's a shame.
He's a name I've heard to kind of keep an eye on.
He comes across me. He's been there for 18 years, Ryan. At
Yep.
Navy. Been there for a long time. Why leave? I love that. I would love to coach at Navy.
I
really
would.
would. That would be like one of my. If I was a college football coach, that would be one of the destinations. Like I'm obsessed with the military. Like I think the military is just awesome. But to coach there too, I mean, it'd be heaven on earth. If you ask me. I would not want to go play in Brainy, Oregon. Fuck that.
Yeah.
But again, money talks. We'll see what
Very
happens.
much so,
Niumatalolo, though, comes across to me as an ornery guy. Like he wouldn't just go away for money. I don't know. There's Hawaiian guys. They're very humble people. So, as far as in this game, though, for the sake of this, I'll go with Navy. I think they get the job done here. I think they're just a little bit better in Temple. But Temple has gotten they've just gotten better and better defensively throughout the year. Ryan, the question is, and I'm going to start with you here, can P.J. Walker not make mistakes? This kid is a lot like Tommy Armstrong, just the same player that he was when he was a freshman. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was actually going to, start my breakdown. Is if Temple, it's funny you talk about the USF game, and I thought that was Matt Rule's best coach game since he's been at Temple, and for whatever reason, Matt Rule USF.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt Rule for whatever reason seems to kind of he loves PJ Walker, and he just gives him the reins and says, here you go. Do what you got to do. For me, Philip Walker is not that type of quarterback. I think you kind of have to, keep him on a leash. I'm not saying a short leash where he needs to be a game manager 100%. He throws a decent deep ball at times. And, obviously there are times in games where you need to take your shot. But, when you have 2 great running backs in Jahad Thomas and Eric Armstead, you need to feed them. And you need to get them the ball. And you need to and especially if you're running the ball and you're sustaining drives, you're keeping Navy off the field. That's what they need to do in this game. If they come out the gate and are just whipping the ball around and Walker's out there running bootlegs and setting up and throwing, I just don't see that as a good result in this game. I don't. So you have to ask yourself, what are you going to rely on? You're going to rely on the ATS numbers of Temple, who is like Jeff said, the best team covering so far this season, or are you going to go with Navy, who's won 17 games in a row? I think the fact that this game is played at Navy, tips the scales a little bit for me. I kind of want to take Temple a little bit, but I think the fact that it's at home, I think Navy. They're just in a zone right now.
Why are we
it's
and why are we so obsessed with talking about Were we really needing to talk about ATS trends in this game? I mean, it's not like Navy's like 4-8 against.
No, not by any means. But 11-1 talks, though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 11-1 talks where you a team has only not covered one game all year. That's impressive. I don't care. I don't care if it's Fordham that's doing that.
Right. What do you like in
I
this
don't care
game?
who
Do
it
you
is.
like Temple?
Yes. No, I said I like Navy.
You like Navy,
That's
okay.
that's where I lean in this game.
That's
Absolutely.
logical.
I mean, yeah, Navy. 42, 66, and 75 points the last 3 weeks. That's extremely impressive.
Yeah. I don't know how you go against it. Donnie, right side. You and I talked about this game for a while. What do you like here?
Before I get into the actual angle I like, just looking at the game itself, Temple's getting a ton of respect with only getting 3 points in this game, being on the road, knowing how well Navy plays at home. The other part that we talked about earlier, Jeff, which I'm not quite understanding, is why that line is still hanging around 3. I mean, you had P.J. Walker left the game, or actually he didn't leave the game, but he was in a walking boot on Tuesday. Looking at the Bryant injury, watching that game again today, he couldn't even lift his arm. That's their best wide receiver. And Armstead left the game late, and they said if the game were to be played today, he would not be able to make to play. Now, granted, I mean, you still have your all-world running back Jahad Thomas in there, but just looking at the side overall, that line seems really low to me. But if you're looking at overall value, I think a lot of the people, the betting public, are going to get caught up in looking at, Navy blowing out a bad Eastern Carolina team, 66 points they hung on them, and then 75 in another terrible defensive team. The angle I'm going to look at, forget about Navy and Temple with the 3-point line. I think you could find a little bit of value taking the under in this one. If you look at Temple overall as a whole coming into this game, Walker's on one leg. Your top wide receiver, who knows if he can even catch a pass or is just going to be out there being running dummy routes. Your second best running back, Armstead, which is almost equal this year to Jahad Thomas, he's banged up as well. You can't figure Temple's game plan is going to want to come out and throw it deep and run it wild. I think they're going to be able to run the clock and try to keep it close. Temple on the season, 77th in the nation in running plays. Navy, 92nd in the nation. So time is going to be of the essence. The one thing Temple can do on defense, otherwise playing great defense, is they can stop the run. If we take a look at both of these teams, Navy and Temple here, running against teams that are not up-tempo. Take the SMUs out, take the East Carolinas out, take the Tulsas out. Navy versus UConn, 28-24. Navy Tulane, 21-14. Navy Notre Dame, 28-27 with only 6 possessions in that game. Flip it over to the Temple side, 28-23 versus Army, which they did lose that game. UCF, 26-25. Cincinnati, 34-13. UConn, 21-0. Tulane, 31-0. I look for Temple to say the only way we have a shot here is to really slow it down and play 3 to 4 yards in a cloud of dust. I like the under 63 in this one, even though it's hard to take a look at knowing what Navy's done. I think it's a pretty good side to say this game is probably going to end up both teams being somewhere in the 20s and getting the under.
Yeah, definitely playing with fire, Ryan, taking the under. But I could see it. I think if this is an under game, I think Temple will win. That's
Temple's
what they
game
want.
Plan it can't be like we're going to throw it. I mean, if your quarterback who's built on mobility and that's what he does best because he's not super accurate, if he's running around on turf, albeit with one leg, that's not going to work. And again, your big-time weapon, go down the field, possible pro player Bryant can barely lift his arm and might not play in this one. I can't see him with any other game plan than trying to keep it close.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited for this game. I think Navy is the most dominating offense in the country. I really believe that.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah,
Man, they are. They really are.
I mean, who's as dominating as them? I mean, it's just so hard to stop the option. It really is. So let's move on here. Again, we will recap at the end. Ryan, your wheelhouse, Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern, get the Big Ten Championship in Lucas Oil Stadium. If you don't know where that is in Indianapolis, Indiana. Get the Wisconsin Badgers laying 3 against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Locally, they're excited around here, which I want to rip my fucking teeth out.
Yeah,
Look, growing up, I loved Penn State. My grandpa was a big fan of them. He passed, and I just don't like them the same.
They're so delusional around here. Penn State is such like a cult. If you've ever been to this area and never been around Penn State fans, they're like a fucking cult, and it makes me sick. They think their team can do like no wrong.
Yeah,
like they think like I could spend a show myself talking about this, so I'm not going.
Real quick though, on that note, Thanksgiving, Ryan, I was at my parents and we were watching that Cowboy game, and my sister's boyfriend is a huge Penn State fan. He's like, loves Penn State, and he was just talking on and on about how good they are, and I just said, dude, you're sickening. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you? And he was he's like loves Joe Paterno. I'm like, dude, get your head out of your ass.
So if I said to you, if they get into the college football playoff, I will not watch football again.
Well,
I won't watch college football again because if you're telling me. That basically tells me that Penn State's one of the top 4 teams in the country. And I don't think they're one of the top 10 teams.
I mean, they lost to Pittsburgh and got crushed by Michigan, so it's hard to think like that. But, again, we'll have to see here. I don't think they win this game, to be honest. I think I'm going to come out and say it. I like Wisconsin here. Wisconsin 6-0 against the spread on the road, covered 7 of 9 in conference. Very battle tested. That's a great point, Ryan. Alex Hornibrook, what a year for this kid. I mean, how about Oklahoma State, Ryan? Look at that score.
Yep, against Rogers State.
Who the hell is Rogers State, and why are they only up 6 points
Not
with
sure.
4 minutes to go? What out of conference basketball, Ryan. Gotta love it.
State.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
But back to this game. Yeah, they're more consistent on defense as well. Very shut down. We watched them a couple times. It's almost hard to watch them play because it's like, my God, I mean, they just shut you down on the defensive end. Penn State is a team that they've won 8 in a row. At times this year, I remember watching that Pittsburgh game, and I just thought, wow, this team just isn't very good. I never thought they'd be at this level.
I don't think anyone did.
Just really pretty unbelievable. I think they're on just kind of that heater, the Brad Lidge,
And they've had everything. I mean, everything go their way.
Yeah,
like needing teams to lose and needing there to be the lunar eclipse and there need to. Everything.
George Washington come back.
Yeah,
from the dead.
like everything has fallen.
Yeah, it's been a favorable schedule too. I mean, lately at least. All conference games were tough at home, especially Michigan. I mean, they struggled to beat Minnesota. Probably should have lost that game.
Yeah, basically what I said there. I know you probably couldn't read my writing, but all the big conference games were at home except for Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's big. That's big. That's big. Happy Valley is one of the toughest places.
And I'll say it again. I mean, they should have lost to Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota had that game, and they really just pissed it away. Yeah. And that's Tracy Claeys. I mean, you can't really trust him. Wisconsin 3rd in the country in rushing defense. T.J. Watt, T.J. Edwards. I mean, they're so good.
Barkley's got a gimp leg too in this game. He's going to play obviously, but his ankle's kind of beat up here.
Look, it's definitely hard to bet against Penn State just because of the fucking heater they're on. But I think Wisconsin's a better team here. I think Wisconsin's just kind of playing their game. They're doing their thing. It's a shame that they ended up losing. And again, in Michigan, they actually were sorely outplayed in that game. The score was not indicative.
They didn't have 200 total yards in that game.
The score was not indicative. I mean, Kenny Allen missed 3 field goals. It really wasn't that close. Sean makes a point. Penn State has big play capability, which surprises me because, again, no receivers for Penn State. I mean, ever since Allen Robinson, they've had nothing at receiver, and they just.
Well, Chris Godwin's not bad. I mean,
but like there are no stars on this team. Put it that way. But I actually like Jazz Peavy and Fumagale, and obviously Corey Clement, and look, they have the horses. They're going to be just fine. I think this is like a 27-20 type of game. I think Wisconsin will do enough. I think to get the job done here. Ryan D'Amico, start with you. What do you think here?
Yeah, I like whiskey as well, and
I know you wish it was Michigan, but it's not.
And it's not like me. And people say like if I go against like Ohio State, it's like because you hate Ohio State, or if I go against Penn State, it's because I hate. No, it's just I think Wisconsin.
I mean, you're pretty home.
No, but when it comes to talking about betting, I feel like I'm pretty neutral. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm not, sorry, but I like Wisconsin in this game. Penn State. First off, this would be the best defense that they have seen. You probably have to go back to the Ohio State game, and offensively in that game, they scored 17 points? 14 points? In the Penn State game, they get the block return, so they're 7, and then they get a block punt that gives them a short field. So, I mean, offensively in that game, they couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything offensively against Michigan. So, I mean, when they're going up against upper echelon elite defenses, offensively, they're pretty stagnant. So I think they'll struggle to kind of move the ball a little bit. Did you watch any of that Rutgers game too that Penn State played? Going into the fourth quarter, it was like 18-0, 19-0. That's a team you should move up and down the field on. So look, and Wisconsin.
I think you're grasping at straws a little bit here.
Wisconsin has. What do you mean?
I mean, you're trying to make. I mean, Penn State's done.
No, they're on a heater. Look, I'm not saying that. I just don't think. I don't think they're one of the upper echelon.
What a surprise.
He
disagrees with us.
I don't think they're one of the upper echelon teams. Yeah, and he thinks that if they win,
He disagrees with everything.
he thinks that if they win, they should get in, which I think
How great would it be if the Ohio State doesn't get in somehow? That would be so great.
Well, that's not.
I would laugh.
That's
my
not
ass
going to
off.
happen. So
No,
don't even think that way. But and Wisconsin, look, offensively, they've been early in the year they kind of were stagnant a little bit. But Hornibrook comes in, has to face Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Iowa in its first 4 games. I mean, talk about murderer's row to start your collegiate career, and that obviously has helped him because the last few weeks, not against the best opponents, but I mean, scoring 48, 49, and 31 to close the season. So I'll go with Wisconsin, but I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State won, just because, like you said, Jeff, they're on a ridiculous heater right now. So
yeah, Donnie, right side. What do you think here?
Yeah, looking at the game, but coming into it, I would lean towards taking the points with Penn State, just the way Penn State's been playing coming down the stretch here. I hated Penn State all season long, but I got to show them a little bit of respect. I thought when they made McSorley the quarterback at the beginning of the year, I thought it was a mistake. Turns out it wasn't. Now, the one thing I love to look at in these type of matchups here, Barkley is the key to that offense for Penn State. I know he didn't have that much yards before he got hurt last week, but he has a high ankle sprained foot injury. After the game, they didn't talk too much about it. Monday, they had their press conference, and Mr. James Franklin, above all, we are not going to hand out any information this week on injuries, which means that Barkley is injured. All of a sudden, he pops up the very next day, is upgraded to probable. That leads me to believe a smoke screen is in effect there. If Barkley, let's just say he does play in the game, how do you play a week later after a foot/high ankle sprain on turf and to be that effective against a Wisconsin team? I don't think it's going to be the case. I think that might tip the scales in Wisconsin's favor. I won't play the game, and if Barkley was healthy, I love Penn State catching the 3 because I don't think Wisconsin has the ability to beat them by double digits, but I'm just a little bit leery of this one because I think that whole Barkley injury situation, which is the engine to that offense, might not even be there.
Donnie, did you see when Barkley got hurt in that Michigan State game?
Yes, I did.
He was on the training table with a towel over his head.
Over his head, getting consoled.
Yeah,
you always know when they get tackled on the ground, it's immediate.
Exactly.
That whole, I can't even function with my leg right now.
Yep.
He's going to play 7 days later on turf, and everything is fine. And the best part about it is, when it's bad is they don't, usually they just cordon everything off. Don't talk, don't talk, don't talk. Well, Saquon Barkley's out there going, I feel great. I'm getting better. I'm getting all my treatments in. I'm saying to myself, come on, we've all been there before. When you get hurt and really bust up your ankle, even if they tape it up and do whatever they have to be, you're built on speed and power. You're going to go on turf against a tough defense. It's one of those games I can see him getting 3 carries early and just be like, you know what, I can't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll watch this game just because I'm a Big Ten guy, but I'm interested. I don't think a lot of people outside of Penn State / Wisconsin are interested. I've seen ticket prices as low as $16 for this game. The people are talking, and no one has interest in this.
Right,
game.
if this game
This is disgusting that this is the Big Ten matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is, because I think this conference is so much better. It's a shame that they can't figure out a way to get the Big Ten, or is it West?
Right.
It's a shame they can't get more.
Remember last year?
More
Remember last year's Big Ten title game?
Yeah, Iowa.
Remember Iowa and Michigan State? Okay,
Yeah.
it's a good game. Went down to the last drive.
But I don't think it was.
Games here. They're supposed to have that marquee where if either team wins, they go to the playoff, and none of these have any of that excitement in it.
No, and do you remember last year? Iowa loses. They go to the Rose Bowl. They get smoke showed by Stanford. And then Michigan State goes to the playoff, and they get rolled by Alabama. I mean, this, in my opinion, this is the same situation this year. I mean, if one of these 2 teams goes to the playoff, I don't have a good feeling that they would hang tough with any of the other 3 teams that are in it. That's just kind of my gut feeling. But
yeah, we'll see. I think this is another tough line, but I'll take a shot with Wisconsin here. Let's recap here. Wisconsin -3. We all like Western Michigan -19. We all like Washington. I'm sorry, -7.5. We all like Alabama over 40.5. We all like Western or La Tech against West Kentucky plus the 10. We all like Navy. Donnie likes the under, and then kind of a random. We got some people like Clemson, some people like Va Tech, but that one tough game for sure.
Yep.
Donnie Wright said, man, it's been a great season with you. I'm looking forward to getting you on for the bowls as well. We will try to break down as many bowls as we can. Where can we find you, and how's everything going over at your website?
Going good, man. At Rightside VP on Twitter, DonnieRightside.com, also with TrendBetting.com. The one game that I'll be watching, Jeff, 7:45 p.m., San Diego State versus Wyoming. Freezing cold weather out there. It's a very good matchup. If you follow me on Twitter, it was 2 a.m. when I'm watching the New Mexico-Wyoming game, screaming at the Wyoming coach for playing his players in the second half of that game of a blowout, knowing they were already hosting the game at home. There's a couple interesting caveats there. I think I have the winner for that one. And that winner is probably going to be Wyoming catching the 7 to 7.5. Take the points in that one. I think it's a decent one. And guys, thanks again for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Hey Donnie, when it's all said and done, what's the college football playoff look like?
1 through 4.
Yep.
You saw. You probably saw the tweet I had. What I'm hoping it's for, and what I hope it can be, is Alabama number 1, Ohio State number 2, Washington number 3, and the Michigan Wolverines sneaking in at number 4. Would love those matchups.
That would be pretty crazy.
I guess I question, Ryan, before we let Donnie go, how can Michigan get in? What do they have to do?
Clemson lost,
okay.
maybe,
It sounds like it's
crazy
if you listen to the what's his name
was it Hocutt was saying?
Yeah, Hocutt was saying that
yes,
the between Washington and Michigan, it's very small. The gap is very small, and it sounds like if Washington. Yeah, and it sounds like, and he says the gap between Ohio State and Penn State is drastic. He says they're not even close. So from what he was saying, it sounds like if Washington loses, Michigan's in. That's that's what I took from it, and that's what I see a lot of people have taken from it. So, but yeah, we'll
have everything you want to. You talk about ratings, Michigan, Alabama,
and that's the
then
thing.
You would have the Pac-12 get that little switch up there versus another Big Ten team. It would be a lot of fun. Which again, we all digress back to it should be 8 teams in it anyway, but if we can get a Final Four that does that, Clemson just doesn't excite me. That's what it comes down to. I'm tired of seeing Clemson in there.
I agree. And I know Jeff and I both agree with that statement. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've said it before. What has Clemson done exactly to warrant being in this?
I mean, they're a really good football team, but like that game last week, Michigan versus Ohio State, if every single team in the country could play football like that both ways, I would never leave the house again.
No, you're 100% correct. Absolutely.
Great stuff, Donnie, as always, man. We'll talk to you real soon. And I keep saying it, we will see you down in Philly quite soon, man. I will.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good day. Thanks again for having me on the show. Good luck this weekend. We'll both talk soon.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. See ya.
Thanks.
Donnie Rightside joining us live from DonnieRightside.com. What do you mean by we all like?
Well, he meant like Jeff, myself, and Donnie. If we agreed on a play, that's what I was saying.
Well, what else would we?
Yeah,
we were.
He doesn't. He's not talking about the listeners.
We were actually talking about the neighbor outside and my father and Ryan's mom.
Yeah.
What would we be talking about? Let's move on, Ryan. I think that's about it for tonight. Unless you have another game you want to talk about, you do have some. Let's actually do 2 other ones. You got that Bedlam game, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma.
Yep.
I get the feeling that's kind of a close game. I don't know why. Oklahoma's laying 11.
Oklahoma State can score. Look, Oklahoma's defense really has kind of been their Achilles heel all year. I think catching double digits, I'd kind of lean Oklahoma State a little bit.
Yeah, I like Justice Hill, Mason Rudolph, James Washington. They got a nice group offensively there, and I think they're a little bit better defensively as well. I think. You also have Wyoming, San Diego State. He talked about.
He did.
I actually have a future on San Diego State. I sent that out like early in the year to win the Mountain West at plus 275. Not great value, but all I need San Diego State to do is win in this spot. So kind of a nice caveat to the season. But I guess this one's interesting. It's changing of the guard, I guess, in this conference. Is Wyoming good enough to win this conference, or are we going to see San Diego State again prevail? I have a hard time thinking that Donnell Pumphrey will be held down like he was in the last game between these two teams. He only had 76 yards in that game. Brian Hill, good running back, but is he quite ready? Are they quite ready as a team? I think if they get into shutting down the run and Christian Chapman needs to beat them, that's going to be tough for San Diego State. But I think defensively they have a little bit more of an edge. But how will they react to the 20-degree weather? I mean, is Wyoming?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
right.
It's tough.
I think the Aztecs ultimately will probably win, but I think catching 7 at home is worth a look with the Cowboys in Wyoming. So they've been a pleasant surprise this year in the Mountain West, and that's kind of the direction I'd lean. But so it should be interesting, Jeff. That's obviously for sure. Championship weekend, and there's some good matchups. I mean, there's some really fun games. I know, like we said, Colorado and Washington, I think, is an interesting matchup. Some people think it's going to be a blowout. Some people think it'll be close. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, we didn't talk about much, but I think that's a fun matchup. And then some of the marquee matchups we talked about, I think, can set up for look. If Washington, because ultimately I don't think Clemson loses. Washington's the wild card here. If Washington loses, bedlam ensues. If Clemson and Washington both lose, things would be nuts. There'd be about 8 teams with 2 losses. If both win, then it's pretty cut and dry. So we'll see.
Hey, Trey, I will pay up, and I know you will as well. So I think we don't have to worry about that, buddy. As far as Sean, he says UL Monroe wins outright.
Okay.
How about that?
UL Monroe against the Ragin' Cajuns.
Philly guy. Jeff doesn't wager that much. Ryan, you live with me, right?
Yeah, I do.
You know how much you know what I'm doing, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't have to hide stuff. Philly guy thinks he knows what I wager because he controls one of the books that I deal with, and he thinks that he knows what I wager.
Okay.
So, I won't. My unit on that book is $100 a game. I mean, I'm not
Nothing you can do about it, right?
Well, that's just what I want to do. I don't know that guy. I don't know them guys personally.
Right.
So if I win 3,000, I don't know if they're good guys. They've always paid me, but
right.
I have my bankroll. I don't need to explain how much what I do. I bet on that game. Website bet 100 a game. I have a local. I bet 250 a game. It's really up to what I feel like betting. I don't think it's anyone's business really.
It's
what
not.
I bet. So yeah, that's that. So I guess Ryan, I don't know how we're. Yeah, I've never not paid someone. I've never not paid, never. So yeah, you know that, Philly guy. I mean, I've never had that issue, so I think we'll be just fine. Ryan, do you like the bet I made? Do you think that's a good winner? Do you think I get the job in there?
What bet?
West Kentucky La Tech.
Oh, that game. Well, yeah, I sided with La Tech, so I would say I'm on
So
your
one
side,
more time, it's a $250 wager, straight up. I have La Tech plus 10.5. He has Western Kentucky minus 10.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan, do I have a job anymore?
No,
I do not. I don't know why is it so hard to believe. I guess people really think I'm like, But let's have a great weekend, Ryan. It's college championship week. It's always going to be fun. Good basketball games tonight, Ryan. A lot of good matchups.
Yeah. The Indiana came out hot out the gate.
You've seen Kentucky?
North Carolina. Yeah, I've seen.
How good are they?
Yeah,
Malik Monk, dude. I mean,
the grass is green and the sky's blue. Kentucky's good every year, man.
But I guess one question I have is, what would happen if Tatum and Giles come back and Duke's just, what if they're just not ready? Like, what does Duke do?
Look, they held their own last night. Yeah, it's early, man. It's early. I mean, really. I mean, it's extremely early in the season. So, and I give kudos to teams like an Indiana or like a Michigan State that are really kind of battle testing themselves so far this year. And I think and Michigan State, look, they've lost a fair amount of these games. That's not going to ultimately come back and hurt you later down the
No,
line. It's only going to make yourself look better that you challenge yourself earlier in the year, and and that'll make a team stronger. I firmly believe that'll make a team stronger come the end of the beginning of January and towards the end of the month. So.
But then you have teams that kind of just blow it a little too out of proportion with like non-conference, Ryan, like Long Beach State. I mean, what's the reasoning for scheduling like that? I mean, you get crushed in every game,
they get paid. That's pretty much.
But then you play like Binghamton and lose. Like, what's your excuse there?
They get paydays, man. I mean, it's about money. So.
Yeah, no, and it's in no bigger Coppin State, Ryan. We've talked about them before. Losses this year at Hofstra, at Valpo, at Coastal, at BYU, at Utah, Ball State, Grand Canyon. They lost to Chestnut Hill in Philly, Chestnut Hill College, and they lost tonight to Georgetown 96-54. 0-9 on the year. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I bet they have the nicest Jordans in the MEAC. I mean, how much money are they making?
Yeah.
Well, would you be okay with that if you were a young basketball coach?
What?
Getting your doors beaten in to get paid? Guess you got to do what you got to do, right?
It'd be brutal. It would be brutal.
But how do you ever get ahead if you're a coach like that? If you're a young coach,
You don't.
You don't want to go to Coppin State.
You don't get ahead.
Yeah. It's always like old guys that are coaching.
Always. Yep.
But,
But like from the area. Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night. That will wrap it up, I believe, this year for the college football shows as far as before bowl season.
Before bowls. Yeah.
We had some fun this year. It was always great chatting about college football.
Yeah.
No matter if you have a good or bad year, Ron, it's always fun chatting. And I think people come here to have some laughs and have some fun. So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I urge you guys, come listen to me on weekdays. I know, Ron, you're around once in a while. So yeah, it's fun. I like chatting about. I thought today's show, Ron, you weren't around. It's a great show though. We chatted about Philly basketball and a lot of good stuff. It was fun. We were reliving some of the great Philadelphia basketball players, and somebody pointed out they did not know Wilt Chamberlain was from Philly.
Oh yeah, who?
I forget who it was.
Who were you talking with?
We were just talking with everyone that was on the chat box.
Oh, you mean today?
Yeah, there were like 7 or 8 people just good
I
conversation. Who's your favorite Philly basketball player? Scoop Jardine, or is it Wilt Chamberlain? Is it Aaron McKee, Simon Gratz, Rasheed Wallace, or Simon Gratz?
Rasheed Wallace. Yeah. I never really liked Rasheed Wallace.
You're not a big Rasheed, huh?
I hated Rasheed Wallace.
Remember,
actually.
I have the jersey.
He's a piece of shit. But
No, he's a nice guy.
no, he's a piece of shit. I don't really like Rasheed Wallace.
Do you have a favorite?
You know,
You could say Allen Iverson.
not particularly. Look, I'm not a big pro guy. Everyone kind of
You could say college.
is kind of knows that. It's hard telling, man. It's hard. It really is. I really don't have a particular one, but.
Last thing here. I see some.
Yeah, everyone's bickering.
Yeah, but
because that's what happens.
Let's just stop here. Trey, look, I respect you, man. We have our differences.
Sean did call him out in his defense.
I know.
I mean,
let me just say something.
I'm just saying.
And I'm going to get to him. We have our differences, Trey. I don't think, though, you should be talking to anyone about college football. Honestly, you've had you're down 40 units. Sean, you should not be doing that. I think you just let him go. I mean, he's doing his thing for free or whatever. I get he doesn't want to sell plays. That's his prerogative. But you can't really attack someone like that, Sean, and just But Ryan, you would agree you shouldn't be calling someone out if you're having a bad year yourself.
No, I mean, I wouldn't do that for sure. I don't.
What videos are you talking about? I'm not sure what videos he's talking about. Those videos you posted, LOL. What videos is he talking about? Do you know what he's talking about?
Not sure.
Trey, what are you talking about? Videos? I didn't see videos. Did Sean do a video?
I don't know if he's talking about Sean. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought he was talking about. Yeah, they're funny. There's like, you got to, you know what I'm talking about, that old guy?
He posts them all the time.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about. I don't think he was talking about you, man, because I don't think you post any videos. So, yeah, I think you just got a little bit.
He called me out about the video.
Yeah, I think you just got a little overreacted there. So.
That's why like the chat box is a good thing, but it's also a dangerous thing because Trey goes from talking about this to changing the subject to Chris Barr videos, and he thinks he's talking about him. So
I think Chris will come on and bitch because we're talking about him.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing,
but you know what's funny? Who did it all start with? Yep.
Well,
you'd be right. All right. We're going to go here. I'm sick of talking about this stuff. Trey, Sean, maybe you should have a contest. That'd be fun. See you guys later. Ryan, thanks for coming on tonight.
We'll see you guys.
Michigan is probably not going to get in, but I guess
don't say that.
I guess you can sleep well with it. All right, Ryan. See ya. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you back tomorrow, Thursday. We will go live at 5 o'clock Eastern talking about college basketball on a Thursday. Everyone have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.